Hi, welcome to Coaster Mania. I'm Micah, and today I want to talk about my rankings of the coasters at Carowinds. Katie and I visited Carowinds in the summer of 2022 and were quite surprised in good and not so good ways with this park. Both of us came into it not knowing what to expect at all, and we were decently surprised. Carowinds is a Cedar Fair park located 15 minutes outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. It sits right on the border of North and South Carolina, meaning that some coasters are entirely in one state or the other, and some coasters cross between state lines. The front entrance of this park has a blue brick line in the main street designating the official state lines, which is a nice touch, since you can stand in both states at once. This park is a darling park of Cedar Fair and has gained a lot of investment over the last 12 years. Let's go ahead and rank the coaster tier from worst to best and see how they stack up. Number 14, Wilderness Run. Wilderness Run is an E&F Miler family coaster. It is 15 feet tall and is the cloned E&F Miler small family coaster layout that was built in 1998. We didn't ride this one. Heck, I'm not exactly sure where this coaster even was. Next time we get back to this park in a while from now, we'll try to find it and clear out this credit. It's a run-of-the-mill E&F Miler kiddie coaster, so there are no real surprises here. Number 13, Kiddy Hawk. This coaster is a Vekoma suspended family coaster clone. It has the same layout as Flying Ace Aerial Chase at Kings Island, so all the same thoughts apply there. Built in 2003, being 1,122 feet long, 48 feet tall, and with a top speed of 26 miles per hour, there's nothing really remarkable about this coaster. It's just pure pain. I'm glad the newer versions of these have vest restraints because otherwise their experiences would be far less enjoyable. It's fun for the whole family. Number 12, Ricochet. Katie insisted we rank this coaster as low as it is. She is apparently not a fan of wild mice. This is a mock-rise wild mouse that was built in 2002 and follows the typical wild mouse layout. It is 1,213 feet long, 46 feet tall, and has a top speed of 28 miles per hour. I've always slightly enjoyed these due to the out-of-control nature they have, but I can agree with her that this one was mildly painful to ride. She, however, got the brunt of the pain when she hit her shoulder. I have to take some of the blame on this though, since I just like to let my body go wherever it gets tossed around on the turns. Number 11, Vortex. Vortex is a B&M stand-up. Moving on. Okay, fine. Vortex is a classic B&M stand-up that was built in 1992 and has stood the test of time and hasn't fallen to the ways of the floorless conversion. This is one of the early B&M stand-ups and has a small layout like the other early ones. This coaster is 2,040 feet long, 90 feet tall, and has a top speed of 50 miles per hour. I've ridden Riddler's Revenge at Six Flags Magic Mountain and enjoyed it. I'm not sure what was different here, but my goodness was this painful. Something about the seat design on this just didn't help. There was also the fact that the dispatches on this coaster were regularly hitting over 5 minutes, so you'd be standing in the station with the bicycle seat between your legs for 5 minutes, then you got the privilege to experience the ride. The two inversions on it did provide the expected strong dose of positives, which did help relieve pressure between the legs. My tip on riding these, however, is to make sure you have enough room so that when waiting, your knees can be bent so you're not putting all your weight on the uncomfortable seat. Number 10. Hurler. Hurler is one of the wooden coasters of all time, especially in North America. Hurler is an International Coasters wooden coaster that was built in 1994, is 3,157 feet long, 83 feet tall, and has a top speed of 50 miles per hour. Some of its course was being retracked before we got to the park, which certainly helped the overall experience, but the rest of it was not that great. While less painful than Vortex by a long shot, I did come off this ride feeling like my teeth were rattled inside of my skull throughout its layout. The bunny hills on this coaster did provide some mild floater, and the low and fast layout was fairly thrilling. The back half of this course was by far the roughest part and was unrelenting in its jackhammering. One positive thing to note though was the fact that a lot of the back half of the course was being fully retracked on the second half of our visit. Maybe with more maintenance and retracking, this coaster can improve its reputation, but as of now, this really should be RMC'd like the one at King's Dominion. Number 9. Carolina Goldrusher. This is your standard fare aero mine train. This was the first coaster at the park, being built in 1973 and is 2,397 feet long. It is slow and just kind of meanders around, but gives some pleasant views of Vortex and Nighthawk. This is ranked above the other two since it doesn't hurt to ride. It really isn't all that entertaining of a layout, but there was no pain to speak of after getting off of this coaster. I'm not sure about the rest of you out there, but I like to ride coasters that don't feel like they're about to give me a concussion, so good job, Aero, I guess. Number 8. Woodstock Express. This is the second oldest coaster in the park, being built 2 years after Carolina Goldrusher in 1975. It is 1,356 feet long, 39 feet tall, and has a top speed of about 35 miles per hour. It is a clone of the other Woodstock Express wooden coasters present at other Cedar Fair parks. It was designed by John C. Allen and built by Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters. Also, Mandela effect time. I could have sworn that it was Philadelphia Toboggan Company, not Coasters. Am I wrong for believing this? Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyways, this is a wooden family coaster that always seems more enjoyable than I'd expect. The drops on these are always pleasant, and these classic coasters are just all around enjoyable. This is one of the few clone layouts that I'm never upset to see at a theme park. Number 7. Flying Cobras. It's funny to say that I've ridden this coaster before it was at Carowinds. Relocated from Geauga Lake in 2009, this Vekoma boomerang is no different from the other boomerang clones. It is 935 feet long, 116 feet tall, and has a top speed of 47 miles per hour. I rode this coaster when it was known as Mindy Racer at Geauga Lake, so I must have been no older than 6 or 7 at the time when riding it. This one puts a good name to the boomerang layout. It is entirely helped by the vest restraint system. If this coaster had the classic over-the-shoulder restraints, it would have been a much different story. The one thing I do have to say is that with proper maintenance and a good restraint system, boomerangs can be somewhat okay, if not even a tiny bit good. I know, how dare I say anything so treacherous about boomerangs. I did manage to gray out a little bit at the bottom of the loop between the Cobra roll on both the forwards and backwards pass on this ride, however. The only thing that severely brings down the experience is the atrocious operations. This is one flaw that is a distinctly Carowinds thing, and I'm not entirely sure why. Number 6. Nighthawk. Unfortunately, Katie and I did not get the chance to ride this coaster, as it was closed nearly the entirety of the 2022 operating season, so my placement of it on this list is based purely on what we observed in the official POV. Nighthawk is a Vekoma Flying Dutchman that was built in 2004 and is 2,765 feet long, 115 feet tall, and has a top speed of 51 miles per hour. This coaster looks like it would have some strong positives at the bottom of the loop and at other various points, and appears that it would provide a decently fun flying experience. One of the biggest complaints I have heard about it, however, is that there is some roughness to it. Looking at the restraint system, I can see why. The other issue that would hinder this coaster is its operations as well. It isn't really designed to operate fast due to the system in place in order to allow guests to be secured into the seats. What this coaster does have, though, is an aesthetically pleasing location. Most of its layout is positioned above an artificial lake in the center of the park, which does at least help it look nicer. Maybe we'll get the chance to actually ride this one soon. Number 5. Carolina Cyclone. Being one of 2 storm-themed custom aero loopers in this side of the country, this is arguably the lesser of the 2. This coaster was opened in 1980 and originally held the record for a coaster with the most inversions, at 4. It is 2,100 feet long, 95 feet tall, and has a top speed of 41 miles per hour. Of the very similar aero custom loopers, this one is one of the better ones. Cedar Fair does a good job at maintaining these and ensuring that they can stay as smooth as humanly possible. I do somewhat enjoy this coaster. The repaint that this coaster got was a blessing. The old color scheme was, in my opinion, not all that great. Yes, the colors on this are very similar to Fury 325, but the bright blue track with the bright orange trains looks absolutely gorgeous in sunny weather. The back-to-back loops are sufficiently forceful and can provide some headbanging if you aren't careful. My recommendation, when heading through the loops, push your head as far forward as you can, because if you try to hold it back, the coaster always wins and slams your head forwards and then backwards again into the hard seat padding. Number 4, Afterburn. This coaster is a B&M invert and it was opened in 1999 and is 2,956 feet long, 113 feet tall, and has a top speed of 62 miles per hour. This was built during the era of more intense B&M inverts. The inversions are fast, fairly low, and this coaster whips around from transition to transition. I really like the dives below the ground level that this has in several spots along the course. It really helps amplify the sense of speed you get. There isn't much else that this coaster does that is crazy unique, but this doesn't mean it's a bad coaster. For some reason, both Katie and I did not experience a ton of headbanging on this coaster, which was nice. While not my favorite or my least favorite invert, it isn't bad either. Number 3, Intimidator. Also known as Intimidator, this B&M Hyper was built in 2010, 4 years after Cedar Fair acquired the park. It is 5,316 feet long, 232 feet tall, and has a top speed of 75 miles per hour. It is 1 year newer, 100 feet longer, and 8 feet shorter than its cousin, Diamondback at Kings Island. This is the weaker of the two, as I feel like it is somewhat of a glorified parking lot coaster. With a great first drop and some smooth profiling, there isn't much to complain about with it. But I can find a reason or two. These hypers seem to set out to do one thing and one thing only: provide floater airtime. For that, they're very good at what they do. As the coy nickname implies though, on half of its hills it features trim brakes. When Katie and I rode, we could definitely feel these hitting. Once you hit the mid-course brake run, the coaster gets slowed down even more. The recent repaint on this one did a great job though of improving the aesthetic of it. Unlike Diamondback, one good thing about Intimidator is that we didn't feel any rattle on it whatsoever. Also, Carowinds did seem to put some of its best ops on this coaster, as dispatches were consistently fast. Number 2, Copperhead Strike. Copperhead Strike is the newest coaster at Carowinds, being built in 2019. It is 3,255 feet long, has a max height of 82 feet, and has launches that crawl up to a top speed of 50 miles per hour. Launching from 0 to 50 in... This coaster dodges and weaves through its chaotic layout, giving strong pops of hang time, ejector, and fairly strong laterals. There is a lot of roller coaster packed into a tight amount of space here, and just about every part of it is exhilarating. I will say it does start to hurt a bit trying to marathon this one multiple times in a row, as you get thrown into the lap part quite hard, so after a few rides in a row, you may end up with some sore thighs. As mentioned in my top 50 video, the theming present here is a bit confusing to me. With the styling of the trains being classic cars, the name being themed after snakes, and the ride's story being downright confusing and convoluted, I at least commend Cedar Fair for trying. Maybe next time with a more heavily themed coaster they can try again. The best way I can describe this ride is pure fun. The tops of the loops provide serious hang time, and each hill gives surprisingly strong jolts of ejector. I really don't have much to say negatively about the ride experience on offer. Number 1, Fury 325. Fury 325 is one of the reasons why it's so difficult to do a top 50 video. This coaster is the best Giga coaster in the world. It was built in 2015, is a monstrous 6,602 feet long, a gargantuan 325 feet tall, as the name implies, and furiously travels at a top speed of 95 miles per hour. I'm going to say it here first, Fury 325 is a front row coaster. There are some rides that are better in the back row or equally as good in the front and back, but nope, Fury is a front row. There's no arguing. The manic sense of speed and pacing, as well as the crazy strong wind in your face, is best experienced in the front. Fury 325 demonstrates a masterclass understanding of roller coaster design and pacing and is near perfect on all fronts. The only thing I could wish for is a bit more in the way of theming, maybe to make the Hornet theming present on this coaster have a bit more context. The only mild dead zone this coaster seemingly has is a straight track after the overbanked turn right before the trimmed airtime hill. I'm not sure what it is about this section of track, but it feels like it might have been either places away purely to get from one element to another, or maybe as a little bit of a breather so you can prepare for the airtime-filled finale of this coaster. Although in the top 50, this was ranked number 2, there are just moments I may pick this to ride over Steel Vengeance. Carowinds is a park that has some of the best coasters out there, but also a lot of mediocre ones around it. It is clearly a favorite of the Cedar Fair chain, meaning they may continue to put some strong investment into it in the future. This park does have arguably one of the best 1-2 punches out there with Copperhead Strike and Fury 325. It will be interesting to see what happens to the coaster lineup of this park as time goes on. The top 4 coasters are an easy top 4 to pick out, but it makes me wonder what could be changed to mix up the rest of the lineup. You have to contend with the 10 other coasters that are, in my opinion, mostly just fine. I would love to see something like a new B&M or something else we haven't seen from Cedar Fair yet, like a large-scale Gerstlauer or something else entirely like a new-gen Vekoma or S&S. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to leave a like and comment below and consider subscribing. I intend on uploading more content as time goes on and as Katie and I experience more parks and coasters. You can also find daily uploads on our Instagram page at Coaster Mania. Soon we'll be opening an Etsy page where you'll be able to buy prints and more of some of your favorite coaster photography of ours. Thanks for watching the video and ride on, Coaster Maniacs!